Alright, so we have game 3 up on the board here. And there's Governor in it straight away. I picked Alchemy and Promos as the other set to be coupled with Nocturne, which is why you see Governor here. So my eyes went to it straight away, as it usually does, very centralizing card. There is also Sona and Avanto on the board. So that's also something to take into consideration. So usually I don't really like to open Sona Silver by default. I would like to make the deck a little bit smaller, or make it more likely that the Sona and the Silver come together before I put the two components into the deck, because they could miss and then you just cry. But I don't really see anything better to open here than Sona. So I'm going to get the Sona. The lucky coin will put a silver into the deck. And I could even put a second silver into the deck here if I wanted to. Make it a little bit more likely the Sona silver thing works. But I go for a Fool instead. Maybe not the right call to go for the Fool. I just went for it because my opponent went for it. And I wanted to fight with fools for fun. That's alliteration for you, right? Anyways, silver here would have meant I would have gotten to 5 here, which opens up a lot of options, particularly Governor and Vampire. So Vampire I haven't spoken about yet. Vampire works with another card, Bat. It's on the right hand side there, there's no picture, just the name. So you start off with a Vampire. Bat is not in the supply. Vampire gains cards costing up to 5. So on this board, the attractive target for that is, of course, Governor. And it hexes your opponent as well, so it's an attack and a gainer, pretty strong. But you don't get to play it every turn because after you play it, it transforms into a bat. Yes, it transforms into a bat. So you return your Vampire to the pile and you take a bat instead. The bat trashes cards. The bat trashes cards up to 2 cards, I believe, and only if you trash cards, you can exchange the bat back into a Vampire. So they keep going back and forth between Vampire, Bat, Vampire, Bat. The effects of both of them are quite useful, honestly. Particularly the gaining of a 5 cost with Vampire. Particularly that, because usually the only cards that gain 5 costs in the game cost 6, like Artisan and Altar, but Vampire costs 5. So that's a bit interesting there. But you only get to play it half as often. So, my opponent has a Vampire. I'm gonna follow him here. I'm not so keen on emptying the Sonas because it would mean I give my opponent the first dip into the Avantos, and I don't want to do that. I want to perhaps be able to get more Avantos than my opponent. That is the more valuable card to me out of the pile, because it's draw. You just need 2 Sonas, 3 Avantos to play all 3 Avantos in the chain. And more draw means you could use your Governor less for draw and more for gaining gold, more for remodeling. So that's the idea. His Vampire comes out. This Hex trashes my Fool, so he will permanently be lost in the woods. Meaning he's played the Fool last, so he'll keep getting the boons, and I can't take that bonus away from him for the rest of the game unless I play a Fool again somehow. Anyways, 5 is going to be a Governor. Maybe a second Vampire is correct there, but I decided to go after the Governor. I thought 1 Vampire was enough, but like I said, being able to play that only like once every other time, maybe a bit slow, and it calls for perhaps another Vampire in the deck. So my opponent, he does actually end up picking up a, I say he, I don't know if this is a girl or a boy, rat. How am I supposed to infer anything from a rat? So my opponent, he does, I do it again, jeez, they end up picking up another Vampire. So they have 2 Vampires, I only have the 1. They have this Night Watchman too, so Night Watchman is also a card I haven't mentioned. It functions exactly like a Cartographer. Look at the top 4 cards. It doesn't draw a card. Look at the top 4 cards in your deck, discard as many as you like and leave the rest however you want. But the difference is that Mr. Night Watchman cannot be played in your action phase like the Cartographer. So it makes it a little bit weaker, I think. You have to wait until your night phase in order to make use of the Cartographer effect. So here I do go for the last sauna because I can get the first dip into the Avantos, and hopefully that gives me a better shot at picking up more Avantos than my opponent. So because the Night Watchman cannot be played during the action phase, I feel like in decks that draws itself very well, very reliably, the Night Watchman is absolutely, utterly dead. It doesn't help in any kind of reordering like a Cartographer would, because you could play it, before you get to the end of the deck. But Night Watchman has to be played at the end of your turn, so it seems like it's a lot more useful when your deck is thicker, and perhaps ideally would be thick for the whole game. There's no trashing or something on the board. But as it is doing some work for my opponent, and when it stops being useful, he can remodel it into a 5-cost. There are plenty of suitable candidates on the board. Even Crypt could be useful just for packing gold inside the Crypt for your governor to find one on your next turn. Yeah. So the Night Watchman I think is fine here. I don't have one because I don't know. I just find it sketchy. The Night Watchman. Anyways, the Avanto split I think went in my opponent's favor. I think I only have 2 Avantos. He was able to use some vampires to gain Avantos, which is why he won that split, even though I started in on the Avantos. So that's not ideal for me. The second vampire is also doing quite a bit of work for him here. I mean, so he's gained more Avantos, and he's actually doing quite well on the Governor split as well as the trashing. So here's the Bat, for example. I'll use the Sauna to get rid of 3 cards here, and then the Bat to get rid of a further 2. So that's an excellent turn for trashing. They're getting rid of 5 starting cards. Very, very good turn for trashing there. And I was also able to pick up our Governor. I regained my Vampire. We're good, we're good. So this turn, my opponent connects everything. You see 3 of his Avantos here. That's where I want to be, and he's able to draw nearly his entire deck with just 1 Governor play for draw. So he has a bunch of Governors sitting in his hand that he can use for remodeling purposes, which he promptly uses. He promptly uses for remodeling purposes. So he turns his Fool into a Governor. I guess he presumes, well, he trashed my Fool, so he'll forever be getting the bonus. I turned this Silver here into a Necromancer. I don't really know why. So Necromancer is a fun card, is a nice card. It can mimic any action in the trash, but it can only do it once. And when Necromancer is on the board, the game puts 3 actions in the trash for you. So at least there's those 3 actions it can mimic for the remainder of the game. As it is, there's a Fool in the trash as well, so you can mimic a Fool if you like. I buy it just because, well, one of the actions it can mimic by default is a Spy, so it's not that bad, and if we get to, remodeling things, having a 4-cost around isn't the worst thing in the world. That's a duchy of a Governor remodel on my opponent's turn. So my opponent was able to pick up 3 of the 4 remaining Governors on this turn, on his last turn anyway, and that means he is going to win the Governor split 6-4. 6-4. That is not a good spot to be in. Not a good spot to be in. I think I'm a little bit more trash than him, but not in a way that'll give me any kind of advantage. So here I use the Necromancer to act as a Fool, which is okay. I mean, I get a plus buy here. This is the only source of the plus buy on the board. The 1 in 12 chance that you flip it off one of the boons there. Or I guess if you play a Fool, is what, 3 in 12 chance that you get the plus buy from it. So hopefully I can make good use of the plus buy. I do okay with it. I end up gaining some gold with these Governors, and I start in on the provinces. There's nothing else to do at this point in the game except go for provinces, and I have to go for a quick ending here. The less use I give my opponent of his 6 Governors is the better for me. So province gold for me, I kill one of his saunas, not not that big of a deal. I feel it. The governor split is far more consequential, and I use the vampire here to gain the last governor. The last governor. So here's an interesting turn for my opponent. He played one governor to draw, and he chained his Avantos here. Presumably, if I didn't trash that sauna, he would have been able to chain all the way till the end of his deck. So I guess hitting the sauna was good. And what he's going to do here, good in the sense that it limited his draw. So what he's going to do here is he's going to spam gold with the remaining 5 governors in his deck. So he's going to add 5 silver to my deck, which I am not happy about. And he's going to add 5 gold to his deck, which I'm sure he's thrilled about. Now there's no plus buy, as I mentioned. These gold are there strictly for remodeling purposes for the governor, and you might use the extra money, if any, to purchase a province. So he gains a bunch of gold here and picks up a province of his own. But this is critical. So vampire gives me misery, -2, not good obviously, but here, this is the key. Night Watchman triggers a shuffle for him, and remember I said he pumped 5 gold into his deck, right? That shuffle has no governors in it, no saunas. It has maybe an Avanto, but more importantly, it has a bunch of treasure in it. I didn't know this at the time, and I was feeling fairly lost. I thought he would have another good turn this turn, so I just decided to play, you know, as best as possible without trying too hard. The game was kind of lost anyway, I felt, so whatever. We'll just see what we could do from here. So I use the Necromancer to mimic the dog. We'll get to the dog soon. Dog, this is a good dog, but we'll get to it soon. It draws 2 cards, and I'm gonna pick up 3 provinces here. I feel like that's the best I could do. I know there's a governor in the remaining 8 cards of my deck. Maybe I could use that to remodel again and buy a province on the next turn. Just see where we could go from here. Maybe my opponent stalls. Maybe, you know, he has a handful of gold or something, which, I mean, I wasn't expecting entirely, but because of the Night Watchman trigger, I should have known. I should have known. Unwittingly, I didn't draw him any cards with the governor, which is very good. Very, very good. Just leave him, let him sit in his pot of gold like Scrooge McDuck. But I didn't know that. That was like an unwittingly good thing that I didn't draw too much with the governor. So he stalled there. I said, okay, fine, I'll take it. I'll take it. Not a problem. In the chat here you can see I'm still completely oblivious to what happened with his previous Night Watchman play. He isn't even able to get to province. He just buys a Necromancer here, which is fine. There's not much better things to buy. So here I just decide to take my guaranteed province and duchy here and hope that that is enough points to prevent my opponent from winning on the provinces. But he stalls again. He stalls again, and that is again mostly I think, nah, this one I think he just didn't draw very well. He just had a lot of treasure in his deck and he happened to draw a bunch of it. So here in the chat he tells me what happens, and I think, okay, this turn for sure allows me to put the game firmly in my favor. Last turn he may have been able to do something by remodeling a lot and hoping that I didn't have 4 costs in hand to turn into duchies, but here I am going to snuff a province and a duchy out of the pile and hope that that is enough points to where my opponent just can't get enough points out of the supply. And here I draw brilliantly into Sauna and Necromancer, which means once he starts remodeling, I turn those into duchies and 100% guarantee the 50% VP lock on the game. So that is game 3 for you there. Didn't think I was going to win because of how the governor split went, but it ended up in my favor. The Night Watchman play really cost my opponent the game here. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.